Hello everyone, my name is Jimmy and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode of Ripping the Fence, we're going to break down everything we saw from North Wilkesboro All-Star Weekend. But before we hop into the video, I just want to quickly remind you guys to hit that like button and subscribe button. We greatly appreciate it if you guys did that. But let's go ahead and hop into the video. Matthew, my friend and co-host, is joining me. I guess he's too cool for school because he's wearing the shades indoors over there. But Matthew, do you have your boxing gloves with you by chance, or do you need me to hold your watch? I mean, I have mine right here, but I think I could put another one. I can hold another one for you if you need me to. But Matthew, how are you doing before we hop into today's video?
Well, I'm pretty tired. Let's just say that. I've had myself a very long weekend. And the reason why I'm wearing these glasses is because I don't want you all seeing my very tired eyes right now. And I still feel tired. And it feels like right now, I feel like I got sucker punched. I just feel like I got sucker punched right now. So that's why I have these on. So What a interesting weekend we have North Wilkesboro for the All-Star race. And we have a lot to discuss considering nothing much happened during the race. So let's get right to it.
Yeah, do you have a black eye or something? Is that why you're wearing the sunglasses? Maybe Matthew has a black eye over there, but all jokes aside, we are going to get to the big scuffle between Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. a little bit later in the video. Not too far into the video, though, because, like Matthew said, there wasn't too much to talk about from this All-Star race. But we'll go ahead and hop into it as quick as possible for you guys. The truck race did happen as well, though. The first half of that was done on Saturday afternoon, and then a monsoon decided to sweep through North Wilkesboro, leaving like 6 inches of water on pit road and leaving Christian Eckes like knee deep in water and people doing belly flops into pit road with how crazy the weather was and how much water was on pit road. So that was crazy. There were tires floating away from everybody. And there was something cool. Hendrick Motorsports, they were able to move some of the Stuart Haas cars out of the way and cover them. So they were greatly appreciated of that since the open cars didn't have to be in the track on Saturday. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, pretty funny how the weekend started with a monsoon blowing through. But the truck race would get resumed on Sunday morning. Corey Heim would end up getting the win over there. No big surprise over there. He's definitely the championship favorite in my opinion. But that led to Sunday for the Cup Series. Joey Logano, he started on the pole, and that was because of the All-Star qualifying, the format that we talked about a few videos ago, where they brought back kind of the traditional All-Star qualifying where the cars would come down pit road, they would do a four-tire pit stop, and then go back out on the track. So Joey Logano, they got the pole for that. The heat races, those were canceled due to the truck race being pushed back, so that's how the lineup was presented, just from normal All-Star qualifying, no heat races. There were open races as well. Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace, they made it in on that, and then Noah Gragson got the fan vote. Really cool for Noah Gragson to get that fan vote. He's always been very interactive with the fans. Matthew and I have seen him a few times out in Midway just walking around. So cool that he got the fan vote there. As for the race itself, Joey Logano, like I said, started on the pole. He would stay there for 99 of the laps. He would go on to win the All-Star race. Or, not 99 laps, sorry. He led all but one lap. For some reason, I thought the race was 100 laps, but it wasn't. 200 lap race. Joey Logano led 199 of them, and he would win the All-Star race. So, congratulations to him. It seems like Ford might have found something over the past few weeks. Obviously, at Kansas, they were close with Chris Buescher almost winning there. Darlington, Brad Keselowski gets the win there after Chris Buescher was right there in contention to win it as well. And now we have Joey Logano dominating the All-Star race. So Ford, all that talk the first 7-8 weeks of the season, they seem to have found something. So look out for Ford the rest of this season going into the summer and then going into the playoffs as well. But there's three things we really need to talk about from the race at North Wilkesboro. That doesn't include Joey Logano winning the race, because that was honestly kind of boring. But there were three interesting things to take away from this race. First of all, the track repave. So North Wilkesboro got repaved over the off season, and this was the first race on that repave. And SMI seems to have something figured out. They obviously reconfigured and repaved Atlanta a few years ago, and that was a pretty good repave reconfiguration. And now North Wilkesboro, it seems like that at least the first race on this track has been pretty good so far. Um, Obviously, there was that whole beef between Denny Hamlin and Marcus Smith about how they do things, but basically, how SMI does it is they just take the top layer off of the racetrack and then basically cover that layer up. And that seems to what they did here, which still allowed North Wilkesboro to have that bumpy nature that it's had for several years. And drivers could go use multiple lanes, top, bottom, middle of the racetrack. There was some three wide racing. Drivers tried to at least pass on the top and the bottom of the racetrack, so there were multiple grooves, which was good. Um, the second thing is the tires. So obviously, with the All-Star race, NASCAR decided to bring a soft compound and a regular compound for tires, and a rain tire that didn't need to be used. But the soft compound tire and the regular compounded tire, and it was weird because in practice it almost seemed like this was really gonna work. Like we saw a lot of passing and side by side action in practice, but then the race came around and there really wasn't too much passing, not too much tire variation. There were a few drivers who switched up the tires throughout the race, but it seemed like the soft tire was the predominant tire of the race. And Denny Hamlin said in his podcast that I think he went 90 laps on his last set of red tires, and the comparison between his 90th lap on that and the 90th lap on somebody else's uh, primary tire was basically the same. So unfortunately, the tires didn't seem to work that much, at least for the race. I think in practice there was like a 3 or 4 tenth difference. They were saying that the temperature might have been a little bit of a factor why the tire wore a little bit more in practice, because they obviously did that in the sun and the race was at night. Um, but I think Goodyear is slowly trending in the right direction. Denny Hamlin also said that he wasn't sure that Goodyear could make a more aggressive tire even more than that by just a little bit. So if Goodyear can only go a little bit more aggressive with this tire, we might be in trouble with this short track package. But I do think it is track dependent though, because North Wilkesboro, um, it's multi-groove, the banking is really high, so the load is a lot more on those tires compared to like a Martinsville where it's a short, obviously it's a short track, but it's very flat, so there's not going to be a lot of load on the tires there. But I think this tire has a chance to do good at Richmond if they decide to bring it there, because Richmond is going to be in August. It's going to be a warm race during the day, slowly going into the night. The track is banked, so there's going to be a lot of load on the tires. So I hope that Richmond would be a good example for this tire, hopefully. But yeah, Goodyear definitely needs to keep making some steps, get more and more aggressive with this tire over time. I can't believe they can't figure out what they did with that Bristol tire or what happened with it, because if they had that for these short tracks, it would be amazing. And we're a month or two removed from Bristol and they still can't figure it out. So, um, yeah, hopefully Goodyear can keep trending in the right direction with this tire, because that seems to be the quote unquote easiest solution to this short track racing, because horsepower pretty much out of the question, and they've tried all this different aero stuff and that really hasn't worked either. So hopefully Goodyear keeps making some moves there. But now the third part of the race we need to talk about, the whole scuffle between Kyle Busch and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. So I'll start with the on track stuff first. So on lap 1, Stenhouse decides to make it 3 wide in the middle of turns 1 and 2. Kyle Busch hits the wall off of turn 2. Then he makes contact with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Fast forward basically a whole nother lap in turn 1. Kyle Busch decides to show Ricky Stenhouse he is not happy. Hits him a few times. Stenhouse overcorrects his car, runs it into the wall. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. done for the day. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. proceeds to drive his car down pit road, park it in Kyle Busch's pit box, get out of the car, climb the ladder, talk to his pit crew, basically say that he's going to talk to Kyle Busch out of the race after the race. Afterwards, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets interviewed, and he basically says on live television that they're like, "What's going to happen?" He's like, "You guys are going to have to wait and see." So that just builds the suspense even more. Also makes a remark about the whole, Richard Childress hold my watch thing. He says something about that. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has told Kyle Busch's crew, he has told the media, he's even texted Denny Hamlin's group, I guess, apparently, according to Denny Hamlin's podcast in the middle of the race, that he's going to do something about this. Because he is stuck inside North Wilkesboro. He cannot get out. It's basically like a Martinsville. Once you're inside that track, you are not getting out until after the race. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has told pretty much everybody in the world that he's going to do or say something to Kyle Busch after this race. So the race ends, and there's a clip that a screenshot of it has gone viral, but it's of Kyle Busch walking towards his hauler, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is right there waiting for him. Of course he is. He's right there waiting. So they approach, they start trying to talk it out. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. claims that they didn't touch and that Kyle Busch hit the wall, and then Kyle Busch hit Stenhouse after he hit the wall, which, to Stenhouse's point, I will say does look right. But should Ricky Stenhouse Jr. have made it 3 wide like that early in the race? I don't think so. It's lap 1. But at the same time, with it being hard to pass with these cars, you kind of have to be aggressive on those restarts. So I could somewhat see where Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is coming from making the move. But we've seen with these cars, if you get somebody up into the wall, it's not going to be good. We've seen it several times. We've seen it most notably with Bubba Wallace and Kyle Larson, and then Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott. Granted, those were 1.5-mile racetracks, but same concept here. If you run somebody up the track, they're going to get super tight, they're going to hit the wall. That's what happened there once again in this situation. So they try talking it out. Like I said, Stenhouse claims that they didn't touch. Kyle Busch says, "I don't believe it, but if that's what happened," and then Stenhouse says, "Go back and watch it." And as soon as he says that, wham! Ricky Stenhouse throws a punch. Everything goes crazy. All, breaks loose. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets tackled to the ground. Kyle Busch gets tackled to the ground. Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s dad even gets involved, and he's trying to go after Kyle Busch. He has Kyle Busch basically like this. And there's another funny picture of that. But he has Kyle Busch like this. Kyle Busch, I think, lands a punch on Stenhouse's dad. Crew members are getting involved. They get Kyle Busch in a chokehold, which, in my opinion, is way too far. I don't like Ricky Stenhouse's guys just pounced on Kyle Busch. Like, they just went crazy. So yeah, Kyle Busch gets put in a chokehold. His crew members come over, start throwing his crew members around. Like I said, crew members get involved. Kyle Busch's the main crew guy for Kyle Busch, it seems, in the zone fire suit, just starts throwing people off the hauler, like, "Get out of here, get out of here." So he's the real MVP, I think. He slung those guys all over the place. But yeah, and then after they somewhat get situated, they start talking again, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is like, "I'll wreck you at Charlotte." And then Kyle Busch says, "Bring it. I don't give a explicative." And then he says, "I suck just as bad as you. Let's go." And then that's pretty much the end of the situation. So I already explained my perspective on the on-track stuff. As for the fight itself, like, Denny Hamlin kind of alluded to this, but Ricky Stenhouse, the suspense building up to this was so immense because he pretty much told everybody he was going to do something about it. And, like, Kyle Busch was just starting to defuse the situation because he said, if that's what happened, and that's it. It sounded like he was about to be like, if that's what happened, I'll watch the replay, and if that's what happened, I'm sorry. But he didn't get to finish that sentence. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. interjects and says, "Well, go watch the replay," and boom, there it goes. As for the whole fight, I don't think Stenhouse should get fined or suspended just because, we saw Matt Crafton get fined for punching Nick Sanchez, but that was literally apparently like a surprise punch, and we saw Nick Sanchez almost have a broken nose because of how bad that punch was. Kyle Busch didn't seem too roughed up from it, so I don't think Stenhouse should get involved with anything. I saw somebody, I think it was Brett Griffin from DBC, tweet something like, three people should be suspended, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. isn't one of them. I do agree with this tweet because I feel like Ricky Stenhouse's dad should have been suspended because he wasn't even really part of the situation. Like, yeah, he's his dad, but that doesn't give him a right to go fight Kyle Busch for wrecking his son. And then one or two of the crew members that put Kyle Busch in a chokehold, I think they should be suspended because that's just over the top. That's just not acceptable in my opinion. I think the guy, Kyle Busch's crew member that was slinging people off, I think he's fine because he was trying to defuse the situation. He was just trying to protect his driver, get everybody thrown out of the way. But yeah, quite an interesting and chaotic situation in the garage area there after the race. I don't think it's going to be over either because Kyle Busch, I mean, he said a few things about Stenhouse being aggressive and all that kind of stuff. That's what he said in his interview. So this might not be over. We might see a Denny Hamlin and Chase Elliott 2.0 at Charlotte next week. But yeah, quite a lot that happened in the race there. Well, not in the race, after the race. But that's my 2 cents on it. I know everybody's going to be talking about what they think and what should happen, what should have happened, all that kind of stuff. But time for the man of the hour. Matthew, go ahead and share what you think about the race, what happened after the race. This is his favorite driver, so he's kind of in the same boat I was in last year with Chase Elliott. So, Matthew, go ahead and share your perspective on everything you saw from North Wilkesboro.
All right. So, before I get into that, first and foremost, I want to get just the whole race overview out of the way first. Congratulations, Logano, for winning the All Star race. You pretty much led almost every single lap, basically. Um, and yeah, I mean, congrats to him. Other than that, nothing much happened. Even though this race was still better than last year, I'll say that it was better than last year, but it's not really saying much. I mean, still impossible to pass. Um, I think the repave still SMI did a great job on that, still giving it character, like that bump out of turn four. So great job on the repave. And as for the tire thing, I know it didn't work, but I don't want Goodyear to give this up just yet. I don't want them to give up on this tire because well, I saw in practice those tires did war. They're recording. I mean, these tires were wearing in the practice. And unfortunately, it just happened to be at a wrong weather situation, wrong temperature timing, and it didn't wear much. So I don't want them to give up on this tire. I still think they need to keep using this tire in other short tracks and road courses and get some more data out of this tire to see, okay, which tracks wears out more, which tracks are not wearing out that much on the soft tire. So I hope we can see more of this tire, especially when we get to what's the next one? What's the next one? Like I don't think Gateway. Well, I don't think Gateway counts. I would say Sonoma. Just try this tire on a road course and see what happens. Maybe Gateway, Iowa. That's a new track. Maybe give that a try. But still, still good job by Goodyear for at least trying. So, anyways, that's all I have to say about the race. Now let's get into the situation that has gone absolutely viral as we speak. I mean, you have no idea how many times I've seen this whole thing all over social media. It's popular on YouTube. It's popular on other Instagram pages like Bleacher Report, Hounds of Highlights, who barely post anything NASCAR, and I'm seeing this all over my feed, which I mean, despite the circumstances, I'm I don't mind it. I mean, I like that NASCAR's getting the attention and everything. I just hate that all the casuals that don't know much about NASCAR are gonna think that Stenhouse is some great guy or something. But I'll get into that just a little bit. Um, yeah. What actually? Let's get right into this. First and foremost, this whole situation, let's just say Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is the absolute loser in all this. He did not win any of this. He didn't win on track and he didn't win off track. Um, First and foremost, the on track situation. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on lap freaking one. It's lap freaking one. And he's already putting somebody in the bad spot in turns one and two. And what do you know? It happened to be my guy. That unfortunately is part of Stenhouse's hit list here. Um, of course, we all know that basically in pretty much entirety of Stenhouse's career, he has been known as pretty much a weapon, basically. He has been known for causing chaos. He has been known for causing big crashes. I mean, I can throw out some examples like 2018 Daytona, the summer race, where he caused not one but two big crashes during the first half of that race. And what do you know? One of those wrecks included my driver while he was fighting for the lead with William Byron, and he basically took out the front of the field, basically, and both of those wrecks. 2018 Kansas when he was racing pretty hard with Chase Elliott, almost put him in the wall in the last lap, and cost them a couple spots. And Chase Elliott was not happy with him after the race. Um, I remember 2020, was it 2022 or 2023 Coke 600? I'm forgetting one of the two. It was in the next gen car. I think he pretty much I remember he and Kevin Harvick had a little going after it under caution for something that happened. And I mean, it's just Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He is known for being an absolute menace on the racetrack. And unfortunately, my guy just happened to be the victim this time, unfortunately. And guess what? Props to my man Kyle Busch. He was not going to let this one slide. And guess what? I had zero problem with him taking him out. Zero issue. Because it's lap freaking one. You're just going to get put in the wall for no reason. Lap one. He's like, okay, bet. You're going to play the games like this? I'm going to take you on lap two then. How about that? And guess what? He did it. And Stenhouse made it worse by overcorrecting. So maybe if he didn't overcorrect, he would still be in the race. And we probably wouldn't even be having this whole discussion. But, well, anyway, oh well. Um, so, yeah. And then Stenhouse pretty much does his whole playing his own victim card here by acting like I didn't do anything wrong. Of course, all the different incidents that this dude has caused over the years. Now somebody does something to him and he can't take it. So that just shows what kind of a driver Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is. He can race however he likes, and when somebody does the same thing to him, he just can't take it. He can't take it. So that's just who he is. Um, and then after the race, with everything that happened there, Jimmy pretty much explained everything. I don't need to repeat what he said, but I mean, once again, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. absolutely loses this whole fight because one, he basically does the biggest cheap shot of a sucker punch I've ever seen besides Austin Hill and Maya Snyder in Martinsville 2022. You remember that one, Jimmy? When it was Maya Snyder, Austin Hill after the race. They were just talking. Next thing you know, Austin Hill went whap in the face. And this is pretty much the same thing right here. I mean, Kyle and Stenhouse were just talking. I mean, I want to throw out another example here because, like Noah Gregson and Ross Chastain, for example, like Noah Gregson was kind of asking for the punch because Noah was grabbing Ross, and Ross was like, "You better stop, better stop." He was warning him, and what do you know? Ross threw a punch, so that was warranted. This was absolutely unacceptable right here because there was no grabbing, there was no pushing, there was no swinging beforehand, there was no finger pointing. It was just a discussion, and Stenhouse just pretty much loses his mind. So I mean, I don't like you said, Jimmy. I don't think he should be suspended or anything, or even fined. It's just still unacceptable. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Just a cheap shot. You don't win any fights when you basically just punch someone for no reason. Even though even Kyle didn't even do anything. Didn't even do anything that moment. He was just talking. So there was no reason to do that. So it's just unacceptable. And then I'm gonna get to Ricky Sten. And then here's the second reason why he lost his fight is because he had to get his dad involved in this. Are you kidding me? You're a grown man. Handle it yourself. The fact that you need your dad involved in all this, yeah, I'm sorry, you automatically lose the fight if you need your dad to do your fight for you. So I think that's pretty pathetic, and I hope NASCAR takes his hard card. Um, I mean, I don't, of course, I don't mind if your family members are at the supporting you and all that, of course, go ahead. But when you get involved in a fight that is not even yours, and you're escalating the whole situation like his dad was doing, you deserve your hard card revoked. Basically, you deserve your hard card pulled. You deserve it. And I hope we don't see him at a track for the rest of the year. Um, and then let's see, there's one or two of the GTG Doherty crew guys who put Kyle in a headlock. Absolutely suspend them. I think it would be consistent what they did in 2019 in Martinsville when Denny and Logano were going at it, which I was there for that race. And one of Logano's pit crew just grabbed Hamlin by the back of the collar, and just yanked him on the ground. And that guy got suspended for a couple races. He got suspended for a couple races for that. So I think those two crew guys need to get suspended, because they were not these. Of course, they're going to argue that they were de-escalating things. No, they're not. Putting someone in a headlock is not de-escalating this situation, I'm afraid. So, um, what goes from there? What goes from here? Of course, Stenhouse is like, "I'm gonna wreck you," and all blah blah blah. Of course, everyone says that in the moment, but of course, we got to think about what's really going to happen. Well, it depends on the situation. Um, I'm sure it depends on how Kyle's running and how Stenhouse is running. They might not see each other the whole race. Who knows? Um, but knowing RCR's history with the big tracks, I'm sure the A car will be pretty good at Charlotte, just knowing the history. But I mean, I hope Stenhouse keeps this in mind. If he does the same crap that Chase Elliott did last year, his butt gonna be suspended. He better keep that in his mind if he wants to keep his butt in that seat for the foreseeable future. Better behave himself. Look, I don't care if you're show your frustration by arrow blocking or running real close to each other. Um, but if you're gonna do the same crap that Elliott did or Bubba Wallace did, you're gonna get suspended. I'm afraid. So you better keep that in mind because NASCAR is going to keep an eye on both of these guys. They're going to keep an eye on both of them. And one of them, look, I'm not just saying just Stenhouse, but one of them does something, NASCAR is going to react. So we'll see. Um, yeah, I think I've said everything I need to say. Other than let's just say every time I see him at driver introductions now, it's not going to be some friendly gestures from me from now on. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I think we both did a pretty good job summarizing everything that happened, and both gave some pretty good opinions. It seems like Kyle Busch just can't get the good end of the stick when it comes to these fights and stuff. Because the last time he really got into a fight was with Joey Logano in 2017 or whatever, and he gets like thrown to the ground and has a bloody head, and then now he's just talking with Stenhouse, and then he just gets sucker punched just out of nowhere. Um, but yeah, hopefully that's the end of this situation. And I hope NASCAR they don't do anything with Busch and Stenhouse at least for this race. But like you said, if they do anything suspicious in the next few races or the rest of this year, NASCAR's gonna be watching and they're gonna flag them for it. Just like what they did with Denny Hamlin and Ross Chastain, what Denny did at Phoenix, even though Denny admitted to it, but still, anything along those lines, NASCAR should be watching them like a hawk. So, um, I guess we can quickly do a rating of the race and our paint scheme. We'll keep it short and sweet here. For me, if I'd base it just on the on track activity, it'd be like a 6. But with the fight and everything, I'd give it like an 8. So I'll just go right in the middle, I'd give it a 7. And then for my paint scheme of the race, where'd it go? I'm going to go with a paint scheme that didn't make the All Star race, but still looked good. Austin Cindric's Keystone Light Car. I really like that paint scheme. So that's going to be my paint scheme of the race. Matthew, what are you going to rate the race, and what was your favorite paint scheme?
I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 10 because the racing was so forgettable again, but at least it was better than last year. And the whole conflict and everything did make it interesting, even though I was high on adrenaline. My adrenaline level was high, so yeah, 5 out of 10. And as for my paint scheme race, of course I gotta go with a Lenovo car. Of course, I mean, come on, you cannot pass by the Lenovo car. Just it's just beautiful, man. Love that paint scheme every time I see it.
Alright, well, that is going to wrap it up for this video. Thank you guys
Wait,
so
wait.
much for
I,
watching.
I do I do
Oh,
have one more comment because I was just thinking about this in my head. I saw someone said this earlier. That said Kyle's pit crew does a better job of fighting than their pit stops. It's sad, but it's
yeah,
true.
the memes, like, they've went crazy. Like I said, there was the picture of Kyle Busch walking to his hauler that people have framed in all kinds of memes. There's the one where Kyle Busch is like seems like he's getting choked out by Ricky's dad, where that's one, and then
Bob
there's one
Hockress.
other picture. Oh, Bob Pockers. Oh my gosh, Bob Pockers, the real MVP, getting all down and dirty right in the middle of the brawl. He's got the picture of his face. He's like,
I don't think I've
and he
seen
made it the new profile
I
picture.
don't think I've seen so many memes out of one race and what happened at yesterday's race. I don't think I've seen so many different memes at one race.
There are so many different, just perfect screenshots just waiting to be used, and there they go. But yeah, Bob Pockris is the one that's pretty funny too. He made his new profile picture on Twitter too, so it's cool to see Bob having a little bit of fun with it. It's about time he changed one of them because his background was the one where in 2014 with Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski, but he finally changed it to that. Um, but yeah, that's gonna wrap up for this video. Our Darlington vlog is live if you guys want to check that out. We had a lot of fun out at Darlington. This is our first video back from that, so if you guys want to check that video out, feel free to do that. But yeah, let us know your thoughts about what we saw from North Wilkesboro down in the comments below, and we'll see you guys in our next video.